Well, hello, nerds. Welcome to some chatting about LinkedIn. Everybody's favorite thing, social network for people that like to have jobs. And I would also like you to have one, maybe more, two jobs. You could be overemployed, one of those people, if you so choose. Sounds cool. We are going to spend about 45, 50 minutes, going to review some intrepid volunteers, give some thoughts. I do not have like a boom, 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 like criteria rubric. I have taken a look at all of our submissions and have like a couple thoughts, things to highlight. What I imagine is like as we look across different examples, we'll find new things or be like, oh, that's nice. What if we took that back here, etc. You are welcome to use unmute, ask questions, shout at me, etc. I am gonna record it so we can post it later. Share with the whole little squad, and I'll try and keep an eye on the chat, but would like kind of prefer to just talk to humans instead of more chat reading in my life. That's the plan. Cool. Okay. I'm gonna hit this. All right. And I guess I should say in there, like, take all these thoughts with a grain of salt. I would say in general with this like recruitment space, hiring space, everybody's got different opinions. There are, different environments, different markets, company sizes, et cetera, different points in your career and your background that people will recommend different things. So I don't, I'm just trying to, share with you some of my perspective. And if you're like, that perspective is trash, I'm not doing that. That's okay. I'm not offended. When you come back in 6 months, then, I can give you the same opinions again. We'll do, no, I'm just kidding. That won't happen. It's not going to be you. Okay. So, if you are the exemplar, then I would love to just like talk with you back and forth. So here we start. And it's actually a good example because right off the bat, I'm not 1,000% sure how to pronounce your name. I would say Antoine. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
That's right.
A recommendation for most anybody, in the same way that folks like use pronouns, even in scenarios where you think people would accurately assume your pronouns. LinkedIn does have a feature to record you saying your own name. And I would recommend it for most anybody. No one's going to be like, how dare you recorded this audio of your name, but it makes a little speaker icon that somebody can click next to it. And just to reduce any little teeny bit of hesitation that somebody has, like going into an interview, or it's getting discriminatory now in the chat. You just don't want anybody to have like even 1% hesitation. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Cool. Okay. I think photos, solid, banner, nice. The people that I read and follow are all in favor of the like open to work banner. There was a point where some folks 6 months or a year ago were saying like, oh, you don't want to like look desperate or something like that. I'm like, yeah, it's not great. Because when folks have the LinkedIn recruiter package, like the LinkedIn recruiter plan, then if they're searching for things, they are likely to click the open to work filter. And so if you've marked yourself open to work, then you're going to show up in those search results. If you don't, then you're not in the search results and maybe you miss out on something. Okay. So as we come through, mutual connections, there's like an interesting little, I don't know if like dopamine is the right word or whatever, but when I'm looking at someone's profiles and I see faces of people I know, then I go like, oh, I like that person. Maybe I'll like this person. That's why they put the people right here and a couple of their little faces. Even Ben, I mean, I want to say that's like a plus, that's more of a, no, he's not here. I won't rip on him when he's not here. Open to work. Yeah. And then you get to have these things. Do note that when you list out positions, you only get, what is this? Maybe 100 characters or so, like above the fold. And I would say it's unlikely somebody clicks the show details. I like especially that it starts out with software engineer and gets into like some specific technologies down the road. And then if I was so interested, I can click into this stuff. Okie dokie. Highlights, you don't control any of that. Same thing with the paragraph here in the about. You get 3.5 lines before it goes to the see more. And probably people aren't going to click the see more unless they've already decided they're interested in you. So they come through detail web and backend web developer priorities, organization, database management, serverless. I like it. Solid in the about. I really like the use of this featured panel. It can be easy. I think when somebody pulls up LinkedIn, they're getting to the experience. What they came for is the experience. And so everything else, they're kind of like, okay. Show me what is the experience? But nevertheless, I think like this featured panel is really valuable. Yesterday, I did this session about making good projects great. And what I thought about in reading this, this is not a strong opinion. This is just like a thought. What I argued in yesterday's session was that the most important thing about your projects is like their technical challenge, not their purpose, not like the value they deliver to the user. And it just made me wonder about, I think these are good descriptions of what the project does. It doesn't tell me anything about why I should care exactly. And so I would just be curious to maybe try a revision that kind of puts the technology first. Like what everybody asks or says about group projects is like, okay, cool, but what did you work on? That's what they want to know. So is it possible to pull what you worked on, like why this is technically interesting, into this first 30 words that we get in here? And then if I click it, now I get potentially a longer thing and so forth. Does that make sense, Antoine?
Yeah, totally. It's great feedback.
Coming down here, activity. This is something we're going to see, kind of different things from different folks. I don't think your activity makes the page. I do worry that it can break it. That your activity, sometimes people go maybe not this one. And that's not necessarily fair. In the last 18 months, a lot of folks, whether experienced developers, new developers, et cetera, have experienced hard times. I had this conflict myself where I posted something sad on LinkedIn, and then I really thought 100 times about it. And the reason I did it was because I think for me and my stature, it's important to step into a place where it's other people are sad. I can I'm here with you a little bit. It's okay to be sad. I'm sad too. For you all, I don't think it's a great plan. So coming back to Ben, Ben's constantly posting sarcastic stuff on LinkedIn about here's all the activities I did today instead of successfully finding a job, and it's okay, I get the like vent, but I just don't think it's the place. I want to do it on LinkedIn. You can put that on your Twitter or write it down in a book and burn it or whatever you got to do. With yours here, Antoine, like I think nothing's hurting you here. This was interesting with this repost because when I looked at it, I was like, scream emoji. The play icon they overlay is so big that I have no idea what it is. There's a 0% chance I click on this, right? And not that you were like, oh, this is gonna get me a job or whatever. But I just thought it was interesting to think about how when you write a post here and it's like, oh, there's other people, they must probably tolerate you and so forth. We got a link to a project. That's cool. It made me wonder if in this post, there would have been an opportunity to put a little screenshot in there so that the screenshot pulls into here, even if it ended up being kind of like the same or similar to this one.
I don't think you have an option to have activity on your, like, that's a requisite of the profile, right? You can't choose to not.
Correct. And so I think on this post that you originally made, when you put a URL, I would expect it to try and pull in a preview automatically. I'm not sure if you can attach a specific screenshot or whatever, but just might be worth a little experiment if you're trying to use posts to like highlight your work. Definitely no one's clicking the show all posts, so don't worry about that. Experience here, I think back in web development, I would probably, I'm not like a student denier or anything, but I would just leave the student off and probably go like back-end web developer. And you can let someone else dig into the details of like, were you a student or were you working at Turing? I don't know. It's their problem to figure out. Climbing club, senior director, business ops, looks great. There for several years. Cool. Working at the restaurant. I think like experience stuff looks pretty good. One of the pieces that I keep reading, I just read this book about like modern resumes and so forth, right? And LinkedIn is in a lot of ways standing in for a resume. Is that what they were saying in the book is essentially like that we focus too much on what we did and not enough on why we did it. And so when you have positions like this, you know, where you carried like some significant responsibility, what they were advocating for is putting up front like metrics, you know, numbers, things that kind of catch the eye and say like, oh, this is some serious work you're doing here, right? So it's like managed team of 36 employees and grew overall revenue from 10 million to 12 million over 3 years or something like that. And people are like, oh, damn. Some people, again, like some people put up with your shit. Like maybe I will also. Whereas this right here is like good, but it's about the place. It's not about you. And I want it to be a story about you. Does that make sense? With those metrics and so forth, no one's coming to audit you. So you can approximate. It's fine. Education down here. I like one thing I'll look for in education is like, does it have the letters on it? If it doesn't have the letters, I assume you didn't finish. So assuming you finished, we got Turing down here, got some skills. These recommendations, people either don't care about them or super do care about them. And I think it's a good spot to enact a little bit of a mafia approach and say like, hey, the 4 of us, we're all going to write recommendations for each other off that last project with some specifics about what was good about working with you in that project. And so I would say that's just like a little opportunity for you in there. This is kind of interesting. In my opinion, applications of the present and near future should implement internationalization and localization. And if you are comfortable working in other languages, speaking other languages, then I think it's something you don't want anybody to miss. Now, as Will questionably put in the chat, maybe your name is going to clue people into that, but I think it's an opportunity that you should probably pull out somewhere else, like in a project, or if you're going to write like a little blog post, you want to do a little independent technical work. And it's like, I'm going to take Pantry Pilot and I'm going to figure out how to implement internationalization so you can flip it back and forth at the user preference from English to French. And then people are like, oh, that's cool. Like, we need to do that. We've been meaning to internationalize our app for 10 years, blah, blah, blah. So that's just a consideration for you. That's all my thoughts, Antoine.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Speak of the devil. We're going to Will. Will, this is not the first time I've looked at your LinkedIn for one reason or another. I kind of hate this photo. Just because it's like, from a photography standpoint, it's not that strong. And we like you. We put up with you here on the Zoom squares. Yeah, I just want you to get a new one and just ask someone cares about you and they will take your photo. I'm gonna give you this Mandy's photo here. This is a fucking money photo here. Mandy is profesh. She's friendly, open to work. Let's go. Will one time put on a suit and somebody took this photo when there wasn't enough light. Okay. Also, give me the open to work joint on here, and that'll then open up the text box where you can put like the jobs you're looking for. Okay. I do like the banner here because you are a veteran. And as I think I've told you before, like, if you're a veteran, everybody needs to fucking know about it, because like, you did the work and now you should get to reap some rewards. So I like how it shows up here, shows up here, it shows up down here. And I can't remember if I told you this before, but it's honestly like 1 out of 4 veterans that come through Turing, when I look at their resume or their LinkedIn, their service time is not even on there. And they'll be like, oh, I didn't think it was relevant. And I'm like, I'm gonna come through this camera and choke you. Like, yeah, it's relevant. It's relevant. Okay, so I'll stop ranting on that. I like this. I particularly like the Lockheed name drop in here, just in case you're applying for like Lockheed jobs or even competitors to Lockheed and so forth. They're like, oh, you worked with our competitors. These are cool. Top skills. Yep. I guess kind of following what I was saying, Antoine, about the activity stuff. Like, I wouldn't go out of your way to be like, make sure my most recent 3 posts are like super awesome or whatever. This kind of stuff is fine. I think if you feel like you hit things to post that you could post, then it's nice to like throw a post on there once a week or once every 2 weeks. All right, we get down into the experience. Same thing here. I think if we're gonna put Turing under experience, then probably just put it software developer and let them connect the dots or whatever they have to do. With a focus back in engineering, training, Ruby, Rails, Postgres, ActiveRibbon, TDD, asset accredited. Yeah. It's interesting about this accreditation. I kind of like go back and forth with people whether anyone gives a shit or not. It's like some maybe. They definitely don't know what asset is. Even people I talk to in higher ed, they're like, what's asset? So I might put this a little earlier in the sentence, which is like a 1,500 hour full-time plus intensive nationally accredited academic program with a focus in back-end engineering, something along those lines. Like, I'll just push the accreditation up there. Senior sales consultant, legacy power. Okay, so in here, this is the same thing of like all these words haven't told me anything about Will. And so it's like half of what we get above the fold. I don't know if I care or not yet. And so that's why I want to just like push early in there, like whether it's a sentence or a sentence fragment, like some value proposition of the work you did.
Can you
Like,
refresh your page?
oh,
I was
okay.
live updating it while you were grilling Antoine.
Yeah. Yes. Take out personal. They might have liked you, but they weren't buying you, Will. Generate over 2 million sales.
I would disagree.
I mean,
Sales, I think that's everything.
You're correct there. During my tenure as senior sales consultant, I gained valuable experience and skills in the realm of direct sales marketing. Yeah, I like this. I think it's stronger. Okay, now do the same thing here. Right? Which is like, we already know you're there a long time. It said that here. So like, why did it matter? Who was depending on you? What equipment were you working on? What was the pressure? What was the, I don't know, whatever like makes me go, oh, damn, you did all that. Down here. Cool. I think this is good. I like it. I don't have strong feelings about these skills. I think sometimes people maybe use them in search and so forth, but it's not like, oh, there was a 51st skill you didn't put on there. Now you'll never get the job. You know, it's like, it's fine. You might do the same thing I was saying to Antoine about like a little recommendation circle. Come back to some folks that you worked on a group project with who could give specific things, like specific examples of how y'all collaborated and so forth. So overall, I like it. I think you're making some good tweaks on the fly. Find some young person. This is what they do, is take photos and shit, right? And they'll take a sharp photo of you. Get some sunset or something. I don't know. It'll be great. But overall, I think it's pretty strong. And again, I like how you can't miss the service time through all the different pieces. Cool. Any wrap-up questions, Will?
No, but I did buy a ring light. So let's go.
Right now?
No, I already have it
Oh,
actually sitting in a
okay.
box. Right here.
Good. There was a time during like early days of COVID where some folks would do remote like photos. Like they would coach you through how to like move your shit, set up a ring or whatever, send up some, and they'd be like, okay, hold still, screenshot, or whatever. I don't know if that still exists.
It even comes with the little remote, so you can just take it yourself.
See, there you go.
Bluetooth.
All right. Thanks, Will. Dana, are you allowed to be in here?
What do you mean by that?
Dana's in mod 2. Dana's just
Whoa, there's a few of us from mod 2 in here.
okay. Well, I guess we'll accept you now. We're stuck with you now. Okay. Photo great, banner solid. I kind of like how subtly the banner matches the open to work, and like your hair and green all fits together. So that's nice. Software developer, okay, I like that. Oh, do I need to refresh this? Were you making any tweaks on the fly now? We're cheating now. Compassion, socially conscious growth minded software engineer, full life, social change. I like it. It's unfortunate that here they don't like auto link it, but that's fine. I like this. Yeah, same thing. Let's just say software developer. I guess like rehash of what I said before. Personally, I would say like nationally accredited, because no one really cares what particular organization did our accreditation. Doo, doo, doo. Mhm, mhm, mhm. Scribe is like a funny word. I know it's like a term of art of what gets done. 11 experiences. It's a lot of jobs in here, Dana. Okay. Undergrad research assistant, biological. Cool. Okay. Probably nobody's clicking on that. Because they already get the picture, right? Of like, you did medical stuff, now you're trying to do software stuff. I get it. Okay. Turning school. Master physician assistant studies. Yeah. Put the letters in here. It was a master's degree. Yeah. So put the letters in there so I know you finished it. We got one more education. All right. This is interesting just to mention it because, definitely recruiters and so forth love computer science degrees. Second tier to that is like general kind of engineering degrees. And then third tier from there are kind of any kind of science degree. So not that it's going to like win you the job, but if there are opportunities to kind of be like, hey, I also have a science degree, like my undergrad was also in science, take the opportunity. This looks good. Okay, we got some endorsements going here. I like that. Yeah, I think overall it's pretty strong. I would, as you like work through some tougher group projects in Mod 2, I would get that ring of recommendations going. But that's kind of all that jumps out to me.
Can I ask one quick question?
No.
Just,
Yes.
you mentioned that usually people don't hit the see more for the about section. So I wrote mine to not even go past that. Is it
Yeah.
worth writing more in case they hit the see more, or do you think
I don't think so.
concise is?
Yeah. I mean, the only question, when somebody's looking at your LinkedIn, the question they're asking is, are you worth the conversation or not? And it's not like, we got to make a hiring decision, read your LinkedIn, So I think you've gotten the value out of it.
Cool. Thanks, Jeff.
Oh yeah, that's a fair point, Jack. With the interface you see on Recruiter, like things can look different. All right, I like it. Read.
You want to hit a refresh on that real quick?
Oh yeah.
There we go.
See, we didn't even know this is a work session here. I've actually looked at this photo before because when it was small, it was a little hard for me to sort out, like, is Reed in some kind of a jail? And then only now when I was like, oh, there's an animal here. When it was small, I didn't understand that was a dog. I like it. It's friendly and
I was rescuing somebody from a puppy jail.
somebody or a pet.
He's a somebody.
Okay. It's a lot. Okay. Oh, I didn't really look at locations on the previous ones. I think you and I have discussed this before. As far as locations, like you can put whatever you want as your location on your LinkedIn. So if you are in Fort Collins and you're looking for jobs in Fort Collins, then put Fort Collins. Sometimes people put like, tiny town outside of Fort Collins, and it's like, that's not doing you any good. Just put Fort Collins. Or if you're somewhere in the Denver area, just put Denver. If you want to relocate to a certain place, just put that place on it. Manifest it there. So that seems good. Got the open to work stuff. Oh, what do you mean connecting? Look at me. It'd probably be good to have like to find an opportunity to like post, comment on a couple things across like the the LinkedIn network, just so it's not empty here.
So I went in on my side, and there's an option to turn off articles and activity, but I
Okay.
guess on your recruiter side it doesn't. So if I turn that back on, you refresh it, does it show up?
Let's see.
No.
Still says no.
Weird.
I think when we talk about like outreach and so forth, post activity is a really good way to put your name up in somebody's vision again. So it's like you send the connection request and they're like, hey, so-and-so, love to talk to you about this company. You seem awesome, or whatever you say in there. You only get to do that once. But then as far as when they post things on their timeline, you can comment on everyone, right? Be like, oh, thanks for sharing this. Oh, great resource, whatever. And then people are like, why is this Reed? Who's this Reed? Why does it keep seeing Reed in my face? And then they're click through there and they're like, ooh, Reed, okay, I'm interested. So that's how I think, well, it's not the activity, as it presents here. I think engaging with some posts and articles and reposts and so forth, when not in like a super desperate way, but I think there is value there. Okay, so we're here, lab supervisor, on-time testing from 40 to 80%. Yeah, and provided training and onboarding for new staff, coordinating projects, data integrity. Yep. I don't really know what on-time testing is because I don't have any familiarity with like medical labs. It's like the tests get done in the time that they're supposed to get done.
Yeah.
Presuming. Yeah. I might just like put something in here about like efficiency, like redesigned processes for efficient redesign more efficient lab processes, doubling on-time testing from 40 to 80% or whatever. It's like, okay, you see, what I get from that is like, okay, you know how to take a thing that works and make it good. And that's, a lot of what we're doing in software. I like that these positions are phrased similarly. Oops. And so given that I don't know anything about this industry, it just tells me like you were in kind of the same a line. It wasn't just a total like zigzag. On these kinds of skills, unless you're a Ruby person, you have no idea what RSpec is. Pair programming is means a lot to some people, means nothing to other people. So I might think a little bit about just reordering. Do you get to pick the order? I don't know if you type it or if it's just check
I'm not
boxes.
sure.
Yeah, I think you probably do. I would push up object-oriented programming. I would spell out test-driven development, and then probably SQL, and then have the Ruby stuff later. Because Ruby people will already know, basically, if you're k-means Turing and backend and so forth. We got the degree in here. We got the letters. We got highlight that it's in science. I like that. Interesting with the courses. Yeah. And then I would do the recommendations thing. And then other than that, I like it. Seems solid.
Cool.
All right. Ooh, how much time I got? Oh, 15 minutes. Mandy.
Hi.
Are you doing okay, Mandy? You sick?
No, I'm
Oh,
good.
okay. It was just broke up when your first words. Okay. All right. I already said this is great, super profesh lady photo. Love that. So Mandy, as you're going to be connecting the dots for the rest of you, is looking for a second job, right? Or third?
Second.
Second full-time job.
Well, I've just got laid off from my first job out of Turing. So
Yeah. All right. So we got this. Okay. There's a version of this that's attributed to Grace Hopper. That I might use just because nerds like Grace Hopper. She's like a founding grandma of it's weird to say founding mom. Why does that sound? Why we say founding father, but we don't say founding mother of computer science, Grace Hopper. So just might consider that if you want. Yeah, I like this. Okay. When I pulled this up before, I was like, what is this? Oh, and then I was like, extend. Oh, this is from previous career.
yeah, that's real actually.
Yeah. And so just like I would repurpose this section here to be current, like whatever you can say about the Mandy of today, more so than the Mandy of 2 years ago or 5 years ago.
Mhm.
I think you can feature all kinds of different stuff. Like you could put URLs as, I guess you put a document and a link. You could feature photos. You could feature, some project you're working on, some leak code, whatever you want. So I would just like rethink how to use this section. So I was thinking about this when I was saying before, like, this is an authentic part of the story, of the Mandy story, and there's nothing wrong with that. Also, don't let it be the only thing about the Mandy story, right? So I think it's fair to share, goes out to your network. Maybe folks are like, oh, Mandy's available, I was just calling in for this thing, and like leave it there. So as you progress through this job hunt, I would try and like find ways to, whether it's post comments or post LinkedIn posts themselves, that speak to or echo kind of what you're saying up here, right? Of like, I'm looking at this opportunity as a way to get better, to learn something new, to find my next great spot, etc. So it's like kind of echo that in some of the social interactions. I took the last week to learn about blah, blah, blah. And I'm so intrigued by this and that. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of forward looking. Okay, so I'm looking at this link. Dumb question. Can you see my mouse when I'm
Yes.
moving? Okay. Software engineer Sling full-time. Yeah. I think if these two are the bullets that like fit again kind of above the fold, like they're good. It tells me like you were doing for real work, right? I would probably click the see more just to see what else is in here. There's a little part of me, this is not real advice. There's a little part of me that was like, well, I don't know if GraphQL is an update from REST API. It's just a different approach because I think GraphQL has its own problems, but no one else will be that nerdy about it.
Oh, it made our website way slower. It was
GraphQL did?
Yeah. I mean, like they're still working on performance stuff now that I'm not there, but yeah, it certainly, like we had a lot of tech debt on performance stuff we needed to do, but nobody at the organization ever cares about the tech debt. They want you to build the new thing. So we just had a horribly slow website.
It's like, I don't know if when you were young, they had Pee-wee Herman's Playhouse, Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah.
And he had this foil ball and he would just stick more foil onto the ball. And it was like house size foil ball. That's how most enterprise software is. We don't have time for cleaning up the inside of the foil ball. Just put new foil on the outside. That is an interesting topic. If you decided, you know what, I'm going to do a little bit of like content work. I'm going to write a blog post. And you could write a blog post about like the experience of converting RESTful API code base to using GraphQL and like the pluses and minuses you observed along the way. You could even build, if you hypothesize that there was some kind of like performance decrease, like maybe you could build a little example app and implement something with RESTful API and implement it with GraphQL and kind of do a little performance metric back and forth and see if you can have it mimic the same behavior that you observed. That
No,
would be
that's
interesting.
Thank you.
And I think starts to make the argument of like, I'm really a mid-level engineer. I'm not just like taking tickets and writing code, like I'm analyzing the performance of these things. I like this. I like the Turing part. I think these pre-Turing parts are like relevant to your experience and so forth. And so it all like fits together pretty well. Generally, the things that I see people say is like, unless it's your first job after the degree or it's perfect, if it's not those, then don't put like any kind of grades or GPAs or anything like that.
Okay.
I did not have a 3.7 in my undergrad. If I had, maybe I would put it on my LinkedIn, but I would take it off.
All right.
Not that anybody's gonna be like, oh, never mind. We're not speaking to Mandy. Because this licenses and certifications is like an interesting topic. I participate in some of these like workforce development spaces. And for years, people have been like micro credentials, stackable credentials, digital learning records, all this stuff. I have yet to see any employers give half a shit. And I hope that that changes. They're definitely not like hurting you or anything. I'm not saying that. I just wish we could demonstrate some value in the credential itself. The things you learn in getting the credential, hopefully interesting and you can leverage in your work. I just never see people being like, oh, you have these 6 micro credentials. Now I'm interested in interviewing you. Maybe one day. I don't even really know what Ragnar races are other than I know they're for tough people. So it also says warrior in here and it's like, okay, I'm not crossing Mandy's path. Yeah, we're clicking stuff. Yes. This is excellent because of the part right here. Scott worked with Mandy on the same team, right? And so good job in like soliciting those or whatever you had to do to get those. All people want to know is like people who work with you thought you were good. And they weren't like, thank God that lady's out of here, which these communicate.
Mm.
I think that's it. That's pretty much all my thoughts.
Thank you.
Yeah. Try not to worry too much, okay? Because like folks with your kind of experience are like, the opportunities are flowing more easily than they were 6 months or 12 months ago.
I hope so.
Yeah. All right. Stay in touch. Okay. We gotta go. Ricky. Is Ricky here? Oh, Ricky's here. Same phone. Okay. Oh, that's actually just a little thing to mention. We're only looking at LinkedIn today, but I kind of liked that when I saw Ricky's photo here and then I looked at our Zoom, although I prefer to see Ricky's real face, at least I see the same photo here. And I would just double check that whatever photo you're using for LinkedIn, like use the same one on your GitHub, use the same one on your terminal. So it's just 100% confirmed that it's consistent. Ricky, are you there? Yes.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right. Got the open to work. I would say probably put like some banner thing up here. I don't even know if mine has one on it, but I'm not job hunting today. And I would just put some decorative thing or a meaningful thing, whatever you want. Put something up there. It's our second U of A person today. All right. Recent computer software technology grad from University of Arizona with distinction. Soon become mom. I bring over 7 years experience in dang. Okay. Interesting. Ricky, how old are you?
I am 28.
There's like a little bit of a danger in here when we highlight like an undergrad degree of people assuming you're like 22 and kind of overlooking the work experience that you've had. Like, I don't know if you remember being 22, maybe at T-Mobile, you've worked with 22-year-olds. It's not that great. And a 28-year-old versus a 22-year-old, it's like real grown up versus basically perpetuated adolescence. And so that was just my first thought here when we say like recent grad from U of A. I probably wouldn't. I would kind of like rework this a little bit. The white space is also a little weird, like that there's the line breaks, or I'm guessing you like pasted it in or something like that. I would just kind of like rework this about section. I think it can better portray like who you are today. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. I love that all these have media to them. Makes it like slightly more interesting. That looks good. Yeah, just put software developer. I like how this is all, under the one company and multiple positions, and like, again, shows like people can put up with your shit. Like you did your job, you got promoted to another job, you got promoted to another job. I was reading about this because I fly United and I was like, I never got any Ricky Sushi on any of my flights. So I need to get on better flights. This is kind of random. Yeah. How did you do that? Like, where did this job come from?
That was just kind of one of my first jobs, just jumping into the
Oh,
just working industry. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, for this, I would probably just, again, like just put the letters was the BS.
Yeah. Yep.
Computer software. Yeah. So I'd put like BS, computer software technology. What else? Metro State. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. I think some people will some people who are like skeptical of folks like new to the industry is like, oh, you don't actually care about technology. I'm passionate about tech. You're just here to get like a fat paycheck. I think that's a super bullshit argument. But given that you've been in this space for like 10 years, I would make sure to kind of mention that. Even if this so this is coursework you like started, but you didn't finish the degree.
Right.
Yeah. I would still mention it maybe here in the about to kind of give it something like, I've been pursuing my career in tech for 10 years. People are like, 10 years? What is this? And now they could sort out the details later. Does that make sense?
Yep. 100%.
I like this. I like how this project section is broken out. Same stuff I was saying to Antoine about languages. Like, it's an area that I'm personally interested in, so I'm probably biased, but like I think internationalization is really interesting, and it's so much easier than you think it is. That doing a little bit of like internationalization work in one of your projects is fun and I think can show well. I think that's everything. Any wrap up questions, Ricky? Oh, I was gonna mention, I appreciated how you did the like Ricky Richard Tran up here. Just to make it clear to people. Yeah. Any final question?
No, that was great. Thanks.
All right. All right, Stevie, we're getting you in for under the wire here. I like this. I like the banner up here. These things are interesting here. I'm not personally a Mongo person. I know you've done some work with Mongo. I think it's interesting technology. It also, I think, does catch some eyes in that it's a bit fringe. And so when somebody's like, oh, I've done MongoDB, then it's like, oh, that's kind of an interesting conversation starter. Like, what'd you use MongoDB for? What'd you like about it? What'd you hate about it, etc. Whenever you list skills, for me, the on the technical side, the benchmark for skills to list is, do you have an opinion on them? If somebody said like, what do you think about using TypeScript? And you're like, yeah, it was fine. Then it doesn't go. If you're like, oh, I learned, like, I never wrote in a typed language before, and I realized I had to do all these things differently, and these parts were faster and these parts are hard. Now you're killing it. You don't have to be like, oh, I spent 1,000 hours building TypeScript. It's just, do you have opinions on it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Thank you.
Flip this around a little bit, just so it says software developer first.
Okay.
Okay. Just so I cannot miss it.
I'm gonna go do that.
I like it. Got the top skills in here. I know, like, whenever I'm on LinkedIn, I always see your commenting on stuff, your reposting stuff. So I think it's wise. Here, if you're going to say part-time, I would hyphenate it, but I would actually take out part-time. What you're doing, like tutoring in programming?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And also reading in Algebra 1.
I would, I'm always a little, like, I'm going to maybe overstate things just a little bit. And I would put like computer science tutor, or like computer science and engineering tutor. And people are like, oh, what is this?
I mean, you're right. That is what I'm doing.
See, there you go. I didn't know until I was looking at this before that you had done this year with Bitly. So that is great. And I like how it's like software engineer here and the intern here. Get some, this was like some consulting work you did. I think, right before, yeah. I would probably just make this architected.
Oh yeah. Okay. I need to make this.
Yep. Why are these? Oh, their image is broke. I would try.
I don't know, and I hate it.
Yeah. See if you can put something in there, just so it's not a broken image, some kind of screenshot or whatever. Here in your psych degree, like put the BS or whatever it is.
Oh, okay.
Some recommendations in here. Yeah, it would be nice if you can get like one more Bitly anchored recommendation.
Okay.
Not essential, but nice. And I imagine, maybe some other folks have exited the team, and same kind of strategy of like, I wrote you this recommendation. Could you write me one? The number one way to get a recommendation from somebody is to write it yourself. Whenever people email me and they're like, hey, I'm applying for a master's degree, I need a recommendation, can you write one? I always immediately email, whenever I email them back, which should be immediately, but it's not, I'll say like, sure, can you write the first draft and then send it to me?
Okay.
And so if you want recommendations, you can offer that to people, being like, hey, I was wondering if we could exchange recommendations. If it'd be helpful, I'd be happy to like write a first draft that you could review. And be like, oh, that'd be great. And then they're going to review it, be like, yep, copy and paste, done.
All right, that's fire. Thank you.
Yeah. In general, one of my like principles in life is the best way to get what you want is to make it easy to say yes. Like if
Mhm.
someone can just say yes, then they're going to do it. And when it's like, write me a recommendation, then they're like, oh yeah, Stevie was like cool. And we worked on that one thing. And like, but they don't even know, you know, for me, especially like with grad school and stuff, I don't know what people want to highlight about their experience or like what I'm supposed to know about them. So when they write the thing, I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I'm going to rewrite it to put in my own voice, but having all the raw material to work with makes it so much easier.
Because I did a bunch of stuff at Bitly.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I think that's it.
That was
It's
fire.
1 o'clock. We're out of here. I'm at the stop share where I actually remembered to record for once.